On October 13th, 2019, a 21-year-old student named Genesis Hansen from Oregon State University was riding her bicycle on Northwest 16th Street in Corvallis, Oregon. She got stopped by Senior Oregon State Trooper Kelly Cat 6. The reason for the stop was because Genesis was allegedly riding her bicycle on the wrong side of the road. In this episode, we'll talk about passive resistance, the rules of the road, and federal regulations. We're getting this story from KOI and Six's channel. Be sure to take a look at the description below and give them the credit they deserve. Now let's dive into the story.
If you would love to give me information, I'd be more than happy to read it, and then we could go through the politely like you mentioned.
We are going through it politely, but you're not complying with a lawful order.
No, I think I just asked for you to provide me information on that order, and you haven't provided me information, and you're taking that as me not following the order. All I'm asking is for you to maybe pull up the website or show me the legislation that says that I have to provide my information in this case.
Okay. Twenty-four. 24. Can you get a CPD unit to roll by my location? Jackson, I think I'm on 16th or 17th. They can come code 1. This is not a emergency situation. All you guys that are recording, I'm also recording, just so you know. Okay.
Do you know how long it'll take for a unit to come by?
I don't know. I just asked for one, you heard.
No, I know, but did they give an ETA, or do you have an estimate?
They haven't given me an ETA, nope.
You don't have an idea of how quick it takes for your team to respond to things like this?
Nope. I already told you could be rolling down the road by now if you were cooperative.
I am cooperative. I think I'm just asking for information.
You're not cooperative, but
I don't think it's uncooperative to ask for information.
Well. So the violation that I stopped you for is 811-307, failure to drive within the lane. So that's the first part.
Well, I think that the reason that we're disagreeing is because you have me failing to be in a lane, but I don't see any lines on this road to begin with. Okay. Second of all, I don't think that I was in this quadrant of the road that you're claiming that I was. So I think that's why we have a disagreement on what the rule is, and why I have to provide you information.
All right.
But I would love to read more if you...
I'm working on it.
Okay.
In the latest version of the Oregon Revised Statutes that you can find online, there's a rule called Statute 811.295. This rule sees driving on the left side of the road as a Class B traffic violation. Although the rule isn't very detailed, it does make it clear that drivers should stay on the right side of the road. It doesn't explain exactly how you determine the halfway point on any given road. Usually, states look to federal guidelines when deciding where specific parts of the road should be. We'll get into more detail about this in the video later on.
Hello. Hello, how are you? I'm well. So I'm out with this citizen on a bicycle stop, but I don't know the citizen's name to tell you because the citizen won't tell me their name.
Okay.
I stopped them for a simple violation, riding the wrong way on the roadway. As you can see, we've attracted a small crowd, so it's not really contentious, but the person's refusing to identify themselves.
Okay.
I don't know if they even have ID because every question that I ask, we go in a circular argument wherein they state I don't answer questions. So
Okay.
it's a minor stop to start with, but it's where we're at. And I'm recording, so you know, as is half of the.
Okay. So she's refusing to identify herself with in relation to a
regards
traffic
to
stop?
yes, but not driving a vehicle. So
I think that there's some alternative facts that you do need to be aware of. He mentioned that I was staying on this side of the road and made the assumption that this middle line of the precinct was the marker of the road. I also mentioned that there weren't any lines on the road, so I think that this is kind of an arbitrary marker. The second thing that I think is important to note is that when I did come on down this road, I will admit, crossing the street, you have to pass this part of the road. But for him to say that I was on this side of the road versus that one, I don't think that that's quite fair. And I think that he's coming up with these facts to assist his story in the way that his perspective is aligning.
Okay. I appreciate that. You do understand this isn't a courtroom, though, correct?
No, I do.
Okay.
But I do think it's important for me to articulate my position in the situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you be more willing to talk to me than him since I'm here now?
I think that I've been as verbal as I am in this moment.
So earlier she did request another officer, and she did say she would talk to them. I knew that was a ruse. I didn't summon you so that would happen because I knew she wouldn't do that. I summoned you kind of to be a witness to this whole
I think
circus.
The reason I asked for a different officer was because I asked for him to.
Ma'am, would you mind talking over here so we don't?
Of course.
We can stay out of traffic. Thank you.
So I was actually asking for him to provide information stating that I had to give my information over on this stop. I also think that the quantifiers for this, what a traffic stop is, I'd like to be able to see that legislation or what kind of ruling it is that says, oh, I'm on this side of the road versus that side of the road, if there's differences between lines on the road, or if this center line that he seems is important in this case. And I also would like to know, do I have to provide my information? And I would like to see that in writing as well.
Okay, so you do, when he affects a lawful stop, you do have to provide identification to identify yourself. So he can hold you here till a time in which he does identify you, okay? Depending on how things go and the facts of the articulable case in this matter, it can lead into an arrest, and it may not. It could be a violation or it could be a verbal warning. I don't know. I'm not the stopping officer.
Right, and I suggested, and have already had this conversation a little bit, I said that most likely I'm stopping her with the intent to educate about why it would be dangerous to ride down the opposite side of the roadway, and that if she failed to comply, I could arrest her for obstructing a police officer, obstructing governmental justice.
Is it important for you to know my information in order to educate me on the law?
What effect in a stop does?
Yes, it is. It's required. It's required of you, and it's required of me by my boss.
Do you have something that I can confirm that it's required other than just
So,
saying so?
Yes, I do, but you see, the problem is I have my cell phone, I don't have my law book, and I don't have the department's policies, rules, and procedures. We don't carry that with us. It's computerized, and if you received a citation or were arrested, your defense attorney or you yourself, if you're representing yourself, through discovery could request all of that information to support your case and disprove what I, the prosecuting officer, would be alleging. However, it is customary in our society that when a police officer who's clearly identified as such tells you to pull over for a violation, you go along with the program. That is the requirement. You are lawfully required to provide identification, and then the officer gets to decide whether you get a warning, a ticket, or you get arrested if you've committed a crime.
So it seems to me that there's a few issues here. So it seems to me you want to hold me to a law that you can't prove or show me.
You don't know that I can't prove that.
Okay, so all I'm asking is for your law book. You said you don't have it with you. So how can I even know that what you're telling me is the truth?
I showed you.
Back in 1968, the Terry v. Ohio Supreme Court ruling became a big deal. It laid down the law on reasonable suspicion and probable cause. Here's the deal. If a cop wants to stop someone, they've got to have a good reason to think a crime happened. That's reasonable suspicion. If after some digging the cop finds out a crime probably did go down, they can give you a ticket or haul you off to the slammer. But here's the kicker. Once you've got that ticket or cuffs on, it's your time to shine in the courtroom. You can argue your side and challenge what the cop's saying. Just keep in mind that public sidewalks aren't courtrooms and cops aren't your personal law teachers. You've got to know your rights and their limits. Trooper Katsy Keys only has to prove stuff to the big judge in charge.
Let me finish
The
what
law
I have to say, sir.
on... Okay,
Please let me finish what I have to say.
go ahead.
You have to understand, people who look like me are often
What do you
threatened.
look like? You keep saying that. I don't understand what you look like. How do you look any different from me?
Okay, well, I'm an African-American mixed woman.
Okay.
I am a petite figure. So I will say that men who are in a police uniform often abuse their power and the rules that they have. All I am asking is for you to show me the rule
Okay.
of this violation that I have.
Di-
All I have right now for verbal confirmation
Okay.
is for your friend or your colleague and you telling me what the rules are.
Well,
All I'm asking for is...
We don't even know each other. I've never met this man before.
I'm sorry, from a civilian standpoint, you two are colleagues.
Okay.
So, and he's the one that rolled up to help with the situation.
Because you
So
asked me
this
to
is
call
really
someone, I
obvious.
called someone.
But in any case, I am just asking for some information before I provide my own. I want to see legislation or some rule book saying that I have to give my information.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm not being compliant, and it's not that I'm, not respecting authority, which, I don't. But
Yes,
I
that's-
think
You're
that
not being
it's
compliant,
important
you're
for
being
you to...
passive resistance.
I don't think this is passive resistance. All
That's
I'm
exactly
asking
what
is
it
for you
is.
to provide me information, and
It
you're failing
is.
to do so. So I don't feel like I have to provide my information.
He does not have to show that.
The term passive resistance has taken on different legal meanings in Oregon over the years. In the past, Oregon's Court of Appeals explained it in 2015, saying it only applied to folks doing things commonly linked to protests or civil disobedience. Then, in 2017, Oregon's Supreme Court stepped in during a case called Oregon v. McNally. They said, hold up, lower courts, and simplified the whole deal. Passive resistance now means not cooperating with a cop without getting all violent or rowdy. Now, why does this matter? Well, Miss Hansen refusing to show her ID when the law says she should is basically a prime example of passive resistance. But there's more to it, and we'll get into that in the video later on.
So if he is, he's doing it out of courtesy just to be kind.
I don't think that your job should have any courtesy. I think kindness should be the principle of your job. I don't think courtesy should be an option.
Well, I have been courteous.
As you should be.
Okay, so we don't need to argue about that because I have been courteous. I'm now looking at the vehicle code. I'll give you the applicable law.
Does it apply to vehicles or does it apply to bicycles?
So Oregon defines bicycles as a vehicle.
Okay.
Most states do.
So do I need a license to be riding this bike?
You do not, but they still in law define it as a vehicle when it's ridden on the roadway, which it was.
Okay.
And that means you have to apply by the vehicle laws, which you were not. And that's why I stopped you. I don't arbitrarily stop
I
people.
think that the reason that you're saying that the rule is what I was violating, but you and I have a difference of even violating the rule. I'm arguing
Right,
you didn't
and that's why
violate
we have
the rule,
court.
you're saying that I am.
Like the other officer suggested, that's why we have court. So if at the end of this I gave you a citation and you felt that was wrongfully issued, I don't
In
get the
any
final
case,
say.
You don't need my information to
Yeah.
give me a warning.
I-
You could just say, hey,
Well,
citizen.
I don't really
these are
want to
the
give
rules
you a
of the
warning any
roadway.
longer.
I feel like you're
I no
trying to
longer
have a
wish
power
to give
move
you
by
a warning.
reading my information, and
I
all I'm
wish to
saying
give
is
you a
I'm not willing to
citation
provide
now.
it.
Are you hearing what I'm saying?
You're
I
talking
now
over me
wish.
so that I can't hear what you're saying.
All
I'm
right.
verbalizing and you're trying to talk under me. I wasn't finished with my sentence.
Okay.
You're trying to underscore what I was saying. So no, I didn't hear what you're saying. Please repeat yourself.
I no longer wish to give you a warning. So now I need your identification to give you a citation because that's what I intend to do.
I don't feel comfortable giving you my information.
I understand that. There will be consequences if you make that choice.
And do you have ruling or anything that will show me those consequences other than your verbal affirmations?
Yeah, so the first law that I'll draw your attention to, this is a violation law, but it's 811-295, failure to drive on right.
I'm familiar. I understand that this is a law.
Okay.
That's not what I'm contesting. I'm just asking
You want to know how I have the authority to ask you for your information?
how you have the authority to ask for my information and how you can dignify me being on this side of the road versus that side of the road.
Why do you say dignify? Because that's
Or,
not...
not dignify. I mean more. What is the difference? Like, how can you tell that I was on this side of the road versus that side of the
My
road? Do you have
visual
video footage?
observations. My visual observations. And the court has
So,
upheld that officers' visual
This is what I'm
observations.
stating, though. You're making your observations based on this median in this road.
Yes.
But this isn't a line in the road.
It is a line in the road. It's a physical line.
It's a line in the road, but I don't recognize this as the median. So
Okay,
you're trying
well,
to say that this is the
ma'am,
right
I
side of the road
can't
one
fix
way or
all of
another.
your
Let's break down the legal stuff here. There's this manual about road signs and markings that's like the boss of all traffic rules in the country. It says, hey, if you've got a wide road in a city with lots of cars, you should have a center line marking. This marking can be made with paint, special plastics, raised markers, colorful pavement, or even little bits of material clumped together. Now, the street where all this happened, Northwest 16th Street, is called a collector road by the Federal Highway Administration, and it's about 32 feet wide. In Corvallis, the number of cars on the streets can range from around 990 sticks to weigh more than 14,000 in a day. That's a lot of traffic, especially with Corvallis High School nearby. So it's pretty clear they should have a centerline marking. But here's where it gets tricky. Trooper Katsy Keys pulled over Miss Hansen because of this centerline thing. She's using a not-so-correct interpretation of the rule, and it seems like Corvallis didn't follow the national standard properly. Now, even though this stop was kind of messed up, it doesn't automatically make it illegal. Trooper Katsy Keys gets a legal shield called qualified immunity. It's from a 1982 Supreme Court case called Harlow Fitzgerald. Basically, this shield protects government officials if they honestly think they're following the law and doing what any reasonable person in their shoes would do. Considering the centerline rules are a bit hazy, it's kind of reasonable to think Trooper Katsy Keys was just doing her job, so she's likely covered by this qualified immunity thing.
belief systems. I mean,
My belief systems. I'm
Yeah.
just articulating the situation to you.
no, you're articulating your interpretation, which is nonsensical. That's clearly the middle of the road as,
The middle of the road, this whole slab and this slab are about equal length. There's a whole
This-
extra section here. The
this
middle of
is-
the road is right here.
no, it's not, ma'am. Please.
I can see down the whole road right in the middle.
All right, please go stand back
So
on the
I
curb.
think that this is what I'm trying to articulate. You have
I
a
follow
defense
you.
of me being on the side of the road.
Okay.
There aren't lines here.
I understand what
I
you're saying.
believe, in my own experience as a
Yeah.
citizen
I
and
understand
as
what
a
you're
valid
saying.
person in this situation, I was on, as you mentioned, the right side of the road.
Okay.
The right side of this line
Okay.
that you're
I,
marking as the
I
middle.
understand what you're
So
saying.
that's what I'm trying to articulate to you.
Okay.
For interfering.
That's what I was thinking.
Should be highlighted.
It's interfering, right? Ultimately.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't believe it's wrong
So
for me to ask
let
you
me tell you
for
the statute
information.
that's going to lead to your arrest if you don't comply, okay?
You're going to arrest me for
I am.
asking for information?
I'm going to arrest you for failing to comply if you don't. So
How am I failing to comply if I'm just asking for information?
hold on, no,
sir?
you've asked me to tell you how I can do this, so I'm going to do that. Do you want to hear or not?
I would love to hear. Yes, that's the whole point of me standing here.
Okay, great. So let's do that. It's called interfering, and I'm going to give you the definition of it.
There's going to be three different laws. There's going to be failure to provide info in connection with the stop, failure to provide info in connection with an arrest warrant, and interfering. Okay.
But you're not understanding the principle of the situation. The principle
I
of the
am,
situation.
because he told you he was going to give you a citation. Now
No,
you're refusing to
initially he
provide it.
mentioned that he was going to give a warning, and when I asked for information,
But because you wouldn't
when I
comply,
asked, can I please finish my sentence?
Yeah, go ahead.
When I asked for information stating, why do you need my information in order to give me a warning? You mentioned that that was the rule and that was the law, and I asked you to provide me that rule and that law, and you're still looking to do so. So all I am doing is asking, why do I have to give you my information right in this
And I'm
moment?
trying
if
to tell
were
you
only
that.
trying to give me a warning in the first place.
I'm not trying to give you a warning any longer. I've clarified that. Your
You've
lack of
clarified this later in the
cooperation,
situation.
your lack of cooperation has made it clear to me that a warning
am I
will
not
not suffice
cooperating?
to change your behavior.
Can you define what not cooperation is?
He said it best, passive resistance, which is
So
what you're
about
giving.
so can you define passive resistance for me a little bit better?
What you're doing is the dictionary definition.
So passive resistance is me articulating my
No, it's arguing with me when I've given you a lawful order and you've refused to comply with it.
I don't believe that I'm trying to refuse you, sir. I'm just asking for
If
you
you
to give
weren't
me better
refusing me, I would
information.
already have your ID. You'd already be down the road.
I think that refusal and submission are different.
A person commits the crime of interfering with a peace officer or parole or probation officer if the person, knowing that another person is a peace officer or parole officer, as defined in ORS, intentionally acts in a manner that prevents or attempts to prevent a peace officer or parole officer from performing the lawful duties of the office with regards to another person.
You are the one that are preventing yourself. You don't even have these books in your bag. I am not the one preventing you. You are the preventing
Refuses
yourself.
to obey.
I am asking you for information. You are preventing yourself from having success in the situation by not being able to
Basically,
provide
at that
me.
point, here's where it's at right now. You have an opportunity at this moment to give me your identification, and you can have a citation, and you can leave. If you fail to do that, I'm going to arrest you at this point. Do you understand what I'm saying?
You are going to arrest me
Yes.
for not giving you information.
Correct.
When I was asking why
Yes.
you needed my information.
Yes. So I would like to get you to cooperate and give me your identification willingly. If you refuse to do that, you are under arrest.
And
Do you
what-
understand?
I would like to have some more clarification on
There's
this.
not going to be more clarification. I need a yes or a no from you. I need you to either give me your identification now, or you're going to be placed under arrest. Which do you want to do?
I don't answer questions.
Okay, you're under arrest.
I don't answer questions.
Stop!
Stop! Stop!
Miss Hansen's encounter with the law took a bumpy ride. She got arrested and faced charges for interfering and resisting arrest. They even took her to jail, but after the uproar from the community and a review by the Benton County District Attorney, most of those charges got dropped. They only stuck with the original traffic offense. This whole thing stirred up such a fuss that Oregon State University's president, Ed Bray, came out and criticized the officers. The university decided to end its 30-year-long contract with the Oregon State Police. As for Miss Hansen, it's uncertain if she'll take legal action after all this drama. Now let's talk about Trooper Katsy Keys. He has his C minutes for how he handled this. The whole arrest could have been avoided and it wasn't done right. But the real controversy here isn't just about the charges. It's about how Trooper Katsy Keys went about his duties. This whole mess revolves around tricky traffic laws and legal loopholes in Oregon law. It's a headache even for the pros. While it's Trooper Katsy Keys' job to know and enforce the law, it's unrealistic to expect anyone to be 100% right all the time. The court's the one that should decide if a charge sticks or not. Sure, Trooper Katsy Keys showed some patience, which isn't too common among law enforcement, but he still managed to turn a simple warning into an unlawful arrest. Now Miss Hansen gets a B+. She did well by challenging the legitimacy of the initial traffic stop, but she also demanded info that Trooper Katsy Keys wasn't obligated to provide, and that's what got her arrested. There's a valid argument that she did interfere with a police officer by refusing to give any ID when she was supposed to. If Trooper Katsy Keys had played his cards differently, her charges might not have been dropped. Miss Hansen also missed a beat by not staying silent and getting into a bit of a chat with the trooper. It's important to remember that a proper defense belongs in the courtroom, not on the street. But in the end, her spunky attitude paid off here, even though it might not work out the same way for everyone. Considering Trooper Katsy Keys made some small but serious mistakes, Miss Hansen has a strong case against the Oregon State Police and the city of Corvallis. Let's hope she takes it to court. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more police interaction stories.